You're so strong. Three words I have grown accustomed to hearing, and they were quickly followed with, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. I've heard it hundreds of times since my son Braden died in 2018. It's not the best icebreaker, but now you know I am a bereaved mother. I also believe in miracles too, so hopefully that counteracts some of the OMG, she's talking about death vibes I dropped into the air. It sounds like an impossible paradox, but it's true. I believe as much as I grieve. It's easy for me to believe in miracles, though, because I saw my son Braden become one when he miraculously survived his first life threatening illness in 2018. 11 years later, though, we didn't get our miracle, and Braden was called home 4 months after his 18th birthday, and just 5 months after we found out he was sick. In the early aftermath, surviving felt impossible. I looked out at the rest of my life, and for the first time, it scared me. Losing the people we love and facing the rest of our lives without them feels insurmountable. Yet it's something we're all going to walk through again and again. It's part of the human experience. There are monumentally beautiful moments, gut wrenching tragedies, and everything in between. None of us are getting out of here alive. 9 days after Braden passed, I spoke at his funeral. My voice cracked. I couldn't feel my legs, and I wondered how they were holding me up, but I made an important promise to Braden that day in front of our family and friends. I promised that I would take the lead from him, and I would be brave with my life. I would be brave like Braden. Sometime after his funeral, though, I found myself curled up on the living room floor, wondering what the heck I was thinking. Truth be told, the idea of being brave at all felt wildly out of reach. I had lived most of my life on the sidelines, like so many of us do, thinking and dreaming of all of the marvelous things we want to do and accomplish, but telling myself a someday lie because I was afraid. That's how I lived most of my life, afraid of failing, of being judged, of being fully seen, of looking stupid, of never being enough, and simultaneously also worrying about being too much too. So many of us live like that. We live with the shackles placed on us by family and friends, society, and even strangers on the internet. What's worse, though, is when we live with the confines of the limitations that we place on ourselves, and when we act like we'll always have more time. Even as Braden was being wheeled away to surgery, I acted like we'd always have more time, but time is not guaranteed. So there I was on the sidelines of my life, uncertain of what the future held for me, still afraid of failing. But now the fragile nature of life was screaming back at me. And now I was more afraid of breaking that promise and of dying without ever really living, because that wouldn't be brave at all. I read my first personal development book in Braden's hospital room as he was surviving and recovering from that first critical illness. It quickly became a gateway drug. I used to say I was a self help junkie, though, because I was always learning and reading, going to seminars, taking courses, but I didn't take a lot of consistent action. Like Steve Jobs said, though, we can only connect the dots looking back. And standing here now, it's so clear to me that the decade plus I spent studying and learning about self development and personal power gave me the tools, mindset, and belief that I could indeed live as courageously as Braden did. In my darkest moments, everything that I had spent years learning came into focus, and I was reminded that we are never powerless and we always get to choose how our experiences shape us. I didn't have to be a victim of life circumstances. I could proactively lead myself and step into healing. Grief was a part of me, but it didn't have to be all of me. My quest to live brave like Braden and to follow his lead and live a life that he would be proud of changed me in ways I didn't even know were possible. It gave me the permission I needed to shut out the noise of the world and the opinions and expectations of others. It pushed me to choose life, to boldly decide in the face of my greatest adversity that I would honor Braden by honoring my life, even if it was hard. When the whole world told me that I shouldn't be able to get out of bed, I started a foundation in his memory a month after he passed. When society told me not to talk about grief and death, I opened up and shared my heart and soul. And when the experts said there was no beauty in loss, I took the ashes of what had been my life after it burned to the ground, and I painted the most beautiful picture possible. I'm not sharing any of this today to try to convince you that I am special. On the contrary, I am sharing it because on my quest to live brave like Braden, I discovered that every single one of us is already a miracle. And that strength people so easily recognize in me is in all of us. And we are infinitely more resilient, courageous, and powerful than we can even imagine. We can summon superhuman strength in dire situations, defy logic, move mountains, and survive against all odds like Braden did when he was just 7 years old. We are made of stardust. The power of the universe pulsates through our bodies and is woven into the fabric of our DNA. We can dream new dreams and take a thought and turn it into an idea that never existed before. From absolutely nothing, we can create something entirely new. And from anywhere on this blue planet, any one of us on any given day can change the world in beautiful and profound ways because we are miracles in nature, capable of extraordinary feats, and yes, even capable of healing after impossible loss, like losing a child. Today, I want to invite you to be a part of a much needed change. Let's stand together, united, and transform the world by changing the way we live and by continuously challenging our thoughts and beliefs and those of society too. Let's work on building better foundations for life's inevitable tribulations by being active participants in our own healing journeys and destinations through life. Let's discover what is entirely feasible when we are brave enough to reach beyond what feels impossible. And let's not forget that the lives we envision for ourselves, no matter how different, no matter how different, can still be beautiful and meaningful, and they are always worth living. My wish for you today is that you will courageously step into bravery. And this wish is for all of us, not just those of us grieving. Commit to being brave with your life, your one life. And remember that our experiences can either soften or harden the edges of our hearts, but that is a choice only you can make for yourself. Thank you.